The Guardians split their 4-game series with the Chicago White Sox, and both teams walked away dealing with adversity differently, and that's going to matter when it comes to this season-long AL Central race.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every time the Guardians start to build a little momentum and you get excited, you start to go back down the loop of the roller coaster, it seems, with this team right now. And 2 walk-off wins in a row and then end up, splitting the rest of the weekend. So it was half good, half bad. But there were some interesting things that happened this weekend that we can take away from here on Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast that covers your team every day, from the majors, the minors, the draft, and everything in between. We'll probably focus on the majors and the draft today. We'll dig into some minors more later this week. Today, we're going to focus on college hitters for the draft later in the show. Talk about the Guardians' 3 All-Stars, which is most impressive. And we're going to talk about how disastrous this weekend series was for multiple reasons on today's show. Let you know today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The biggest stage in the world of soccer is here, so let there be goals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. That is Jeff Ellis, the host of Locked On Guardians for 8 years. I'm Justin Lada. Been here alongside Jeff for the last 4, and we've both been covering this team for 19 years when it comes to the draft and the minors. I wanted to come on here and get all hot takey and come away with a very declarative statement that Anthony Kay of the White Sox proved that the White Sox are not mentally tough. They're not tough enough to handle adversity, and that the AL Central still runs through Cleveland. And I suppose you can still say that because they have won it the last 2 years. So I guess you still have to say they're the defending champions till they're not. After the way the White Sox bounced back, though, I've had to cool off that statement. But I thought it was interesting that Anthony Kay, was making excuses that, and not even good excuses at that, because he didn't know how the rules worked. That there was some weird stuff with the pulling the tarp when they did. Didn't understand that the team has no control, or is not supposed to have any control when it comes to calling for mid-game rain delays. They only have control whether or not the game starts. And even then, there's a lot of Major League Baseball getting involved, which we'll get into about Sunday's fiasco. But yeah, Anthony Kay's response to that, I was like, okay, and Will Venable kind of backed him. And I was like, okay, the Guardians don't have to worry about the White Sox because they are not mentally tough and they are making excuses, and they showed they can't handle adversity. But they bounced back the last 2 days, so I think we have to, at least I have to back off that a little bit.
Yeah, it was a weird thing, and it didn't help that there was a poorly written article by White Sox beat reporter where, and it may not even be his fault. Sometimes, you don't often write your own headlines, but the way it was phrased for those who missed out on all of it was it made it sound like at first that there was complaining because of how the Cleveland had shenanigans, and they had that rain delay and they could have kept playing through it, or what. And as you pointed out, it's the umpires to do it. Kay didn't understand the rules. The article was, it was not easy to read. And then, the other part I will say sometimes with these articles is I was trying to read it on my phone with a gazillion and a half ads in between every third written sentence because of the website. So all of it was poorly integrated. I don't want to necessarily bury the writer. I don't want to bury the athlete, but it all came out to be a really nonsensical situation. And bottom line, Cleveland doesn't control that situation. They controlled what they could, and they ended up winning that game. It was a great performance. And then they came out on, the 4th and completely laid an egg, and they battled. And they, honestly, it's like you and I were talking, it's like in the 8th inning, if Bazana just doesn't swing at ball 4.
Well, that was Sunday, not Saturday.
Sunday, yeah. But I was saying, the July 4th game, you just pitch it because it was so terrible offensively. You were never really in it to a degree. It's like they really had a chance. They kept battling back. They had big, they get down to Lauder homers. They get down Arias homers. There was some nice battle. It was overall an ugly game. I mean, the bullpen outside of Holderman did its job, and they needed everyone in that pen outside of Festa. But yeah, it was, if you had told me they split the series at the start, I would have been happy. So I'm also not going to sit here and get upset about how it unfolded. But, Cleveland right now is still down 2 guys. The Lada still is not 100%, though he had, a big hit today. But yeah, they're in that situation. I think we also saw over the course of this weekend why it is that, Miguel Vargas, even if Jose hadn't gotten hurt, was going to be the starter at third base in the All-Star game. Like, it's a tough Chicago team. Sean Burke is arguably their number 2 pitcher this year, and he was dynamite. And, hopefully once Cleveland can get their guys back in and integrated, it'll give them a better chance in some of these matchups. But I'll take 2 for 2 from a tough young Sox team.
Yeah, I will too. I just think it's disappointing in the fact that you had their bullpen on the ropes. Like, they had to go into their bullpen on Friday early. Did a great job. Thursday. Did a great job on Thursday of getting to Davis Martin early. We talked about that. So their bullpen was already pretty, overworked at that point. And then Friday, you did have the rain delay, which did happen. And whether or not Anthony Kay understands the rules of that is a different story. But that tarp was going to be pulled after the Vargas at bat, whether he hit a home run or he struck out. The grounds crew was there just waiting at that point, and the umpire would have given him the signal. Saturday, like I said, Parker Messick didn't have his best stuff.
No.
But he battled for 5 innings and 1 run. And then Sunday was just, you don't know how much shenanigans. I think that was shenanigans. I don't have any backing on this, but like, there was this weird thing on Sunday where it was something about on the weekend, like July 4th weekend or whatever. It was some kind of big Peacock promotion. All the games were on Peacock on Sunday and had some sort of 4th of July promotion. So I'm like, that's why they pushed so hard, I feel like, to play this game on Sunday when...
I mean, it ended up being not that long of a... Like, they got it in. Right? It
ended up being an hour delay, but that warning track was in terrible shape. I think the real issue is, and I it's hard to know who's calling the shots, because technically the home team is supposed to have more control pregame over when the game starts, and then once the game starts, the umpires have full control over if the game gets played or how that all goes. They're in contact with MLB, and they tried the 2:30 start time, and then they came out at 2:30. Tanner Bibee was warmed up, ready to go for 2:30, and then they came out of the bullpen, and the warning track was still a moat. So they still couldn't play that. So then you had to sit for an hour. And, I was sitting there saying that Anthony Kay, like, oh, don't make excuses for the fact their bullpen blew the game on Friday. Can't make excuses for the Guardians because the White Sox had to deal with the same thing. Yep. Although their pitcher didn't have to worry about warming up as much because they were going with an opener, and then, we're pitching the bottom of the innings. So they didn't have to worry about that as much. It's I will say it's not a good situation to have anybody warm up and then sit for an hour and then come back and pitch. And then have to warm up again. That's not an ideal situation for anybody. I am willing a bit to chalk up Sunday to that. But then again, you don't want to make too many excuses either, because you had chances to win this game, whether or not your pitching was good. And I thought, outside of Colin Holderman, like you said on Sunday, and the pen was great. The White Sox don't have a good bullpen either. And ironically enough, for as much as we are concerned about this Guardians bullpen, they are by far the best bullpen in the division. The Tigers bullpen is bad. The Royals don't matter. The Twins is terrible. And the White Sox is worse than the Guardians. So ironically enough, they have the best bullpen.
I feel like
I think that
White Sox and Guardians are a little bit close, just because, Newcomb, Hudson, and Taylor, though they got to Taylor, have been really tough. They kind of have a big three like Cleveland has. I think there is a degree of tightness, but I think, like you said, I think bottom line is Tanner was in an impossible situation. But he didn't pitch well when he came back in. It was an impossible situation. Most guys are going to struggle with the way that was set up. They needed, in the way they're set up right now, it's like they couldn't really have Festa go out and throw, 2-3 innings to lead off and then try to do a bullpen game. They're just not built to do bullpen games because the pitching staff's been so good. They haven't needed to consider bullpen games and openers. Like, you don't do that when your rotation is as strong as it is. So they weren't set up to rotate to something else. So you just would have liked to have seen. Tanner's been fantastic. I'm just going to take this as a blip game and throw it out because he has been great. And this was an unusual situation. The 6 runs set him down, but they battled back. And then Holderman, couldn't record an out. And like I said, Travis Bazzana in the eighth, just don't swing. Like, he doesn't swing, this game goes into extras. It's as simple as that. So they had a lot of opportunities. They had a lot of battling. And, outside of Saturday's game, they had a decent amount, dare I say, of offense, which has been the big complaint. I'm not going to say it was great, but they had a few offensive explosions in this series. So, there's some positives to take away.
Overall, they just continue, besides Saturday, they have opportunities to score. Like, they're still giving themselves chances to win. And that's frustrating that they're not coming through, outside of the walk-offs on Friday or Thursday and Friday. And, on top of that, this is a series that's been played very tightly. All but one game has been decided by one run, and the game the Guardians lost was a 2-run game. So these two teams have been very evenly matched, and I expect that's going to be the same going forward. We'll talk about a few more highlights and lowlights from this weekend. We'll talk about the 3 Guardians All-Stars, and then we'll get into some draft talk on college hitters on the rest of this episode. A big thank you to our friends over at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, you want to spend less on your kids with Amazon. It's already past July 4th, and we know the back-to-school shopping is going to start sooner than you think. And the shopping experience, it can be crazy. It starts a couple of items on your list. Suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, lunch stuff, tech, and like 10 other things you didn't see coming. It really can add up very fast. I know, again, my wife's a teacher, I know Jeff's a teacher, and the school supply list can be very big, and teachers spend a lot of money on their own classroom. It can get out of control if you're not careful. It helps everybody if you spend less on Amazon. It helps the teachers, helps you save money. So remember, with Amazon's low back-to-school prices, you just spend less on your kids, because every dollar you don't spend on them is a dollar you haven't spent on them. It's coming up quickly, so shop back to school on Amazon and spend less on your kids with Amazon. Make sure you're getting your daily Guardians coverage. The month of July, very, very important, because you got the trade deadline, the draft all coming up, and we're going to have all that covered for you here. And if you want to get ad-free episodes of Locked On Guardians, check out the Everyday Club. It gets you access to ad-free versions of the show on any audio platform, and you get access to the private listener Discord as well, where you can chat with Jeff and myself, other Guardians fans and listeners of the show, as well as channels for every other single team, whether it's baseball or any other sport. You can check that out. It'll be fun to go through the rumors and go back and forth on the draft, all that kind of stuff this month. So it'll be a big month, and check that out at lockedonguardians.supercast.com. Go to the link in your show notes and start a 7-day free trial when you sign up. The other things I thought were interesting from this weekend, Jeff, too, were obviously the bullpen was really good. It was great to see Franco Alamon back. He looked good. I know people were like, I said, that giant exit velocity, the 446 home run from Gabriel Arias on Sunday, it was like an 83-mile-an-hour swing, which is incredible. I was like, that's why you can't quit him. People are like, yeah, you can. He's been garbage long enough. And I'm like, yeah, if you had a better option, maybe, like, Jose's out. When Jose comes back, I don't know. I don't think there's anybody on the roster you can replace him with that's going to be a better fit for what he does. And then, man, Cleo Watson's been a lot of fun. He had the walk-off hit on Friday, which was great. But I think twice now I've seen him steal second and third in the same time on base. I think that's definitely a guy you can live with the swing and miss he's got, because he hits the ball hard, and his speed is such an impact on the bases. Some of the stuff in the profile has kind of gone south since he started. So they pick up more of a sample size, but defense is still good. He made a great play in center field on Sunday. Like, this is a kid I want to see more from. It's so tough, and this is what the Guardians do every year. It's always trying to balance winning the division and development. So it's like, if Watson starts to hurt you, I guess you can send him down, but he's a guy I want to see reps from, and I want to see him improve, because I think there's something here with, at least the platoon side of the stuff. And, it didn't work out today, but also credit to Stephen Vogt. We've been pretty hard on him about how he handles openers. The White Sox went the left-handed opener, and he went out there with 3 or 4 left-handed hitters in a row. It was
Bazzana, Watson,
yeah,
and then
Manzardo didn't get Fry in there, didn't get Hoskins in there until the end, and he waited until there was a left-handed pitcher in the game to do those things. So, I mean, didn't work out, but that, I'll take process over results any day of the week, because I think good process will lead to good results.
No, and we talked about like the everything going on. It's like we talked about like Messick battled without his best stuff. He only struck out 3, but he also only gave up 1 earned run. It was, Tim Herron continuing to just have his struggles, and then Matt Festa being Matt Festa. Otherwise this would have been a 1-1 game. Like it was another one they really could have had a chance in. They just didn't, do enough. They had 7 hits. They also had 2 errors as Cooper Engel continued to have his set of struggles. And that's the thing. Like when one of these guys is ready to go, it's very clear that Cooper Engel will be the first guy down. He is so crossed up. He can't tell up from down right now. He's not swinging at pitches in the zone. He's expanding out of the zone. They had him play DH today, and it's the high strikeout total. The thing with Watson that made it work when he had his struggles. So Engel's got 12 strikeouts in 21 at bats. So that's he's striking out nearly every other at bat. Watson, as you said, he had the defense, he had the speed, and his games are a little hit or miss. Like he had a hit today, and then after that there was nothing, and there's that danger of that, and he's going to carry a high K rate. And I think you can make it work depending on how you make the roster work. But I think him having speed, giving you another option in center field, there's some nice things there. Again, after these 2 games are done, I'm like, well, it's very easy for me when J-Ram and Angel are ready. It's like, well, Engel goes back down, and then we can let go Rhys Hoskins, because what are we even doing here? Like, there's no point.
I think that has run its course.
Yeah, like I know you don't have a natural first baseman as a backup at that point, but I feel like if you really need
Fry can play first.
Fry can play first. Schneemann can play anywhere on the diamond if you ask him to. He'll figure it out in about half an hour.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like those are the guys. I mean, Hoskins again today was another strikeout swinging. It's just that's not working. Manzardo, he's cooled off as well. Like, and that's the hard part. Got to talk about all-stars. It's like Bazana, he had the 2 hits, but then he's also been in a bit of a cold streak and has seen everything continue to tumble with him. So, right now they're kind of dealing with it. They got a lot of guys who are in ups and downs, and it's unfortunate because you really felt like they should have taken 3 out of 4. Like, I really thought they were going to somehow put out today. Just because
I did too.
As you talked about, like they got to beat up bullpen. They really relied on like Richards and Newcomb has struggled with control. And that's why too, like, especially with Newcomb, I was like, come on, he's got control of this. He was just in Travis normally takes pitches. I'm like, just take that pitch. Just watching that unfold. That's really the moment of the game for me, because it's just like, if he just takes that pitch, it's a different outing. Everything changes. And then, maybe they leave this taking 3 out of 4, but it's it's a frustrating one, but that's what's happened sometimes.
Yeah. So if you missed it, Guardians do have 3 all-stars, 2 rookies. Great. Rally Cat's here now, but they don't play on Monday. So
different cat.
Oh, well, okay. Different cat. So Cade Smith made it. He's not a rookie, but obviously Travis Bazana and Parker Messick both were named all-stars. I have a lot of annoyance from MLB that they announced the all-star team on Saturday at like 7:30 on Fox, on July 4th, when people are out, they're grilling, they're in the pool, they're blowing off fireworks in their fingers and all sort of stuff.
Fox needed something after the World Cup coverage was over. And that was essentially what it was. It was like after the World Cup game ended, like, okay, we'll jump to this next.
Nobody's watching when you do that. Like, nobody's watching the unveiling.
Anyways.
Well, was this the first year it was on Fox? I feel like it was usually on ESPN every year.
I think it was on ESPN in the past, but I think ESPN let it go because, like, it's not I don't think it's much of an eye gainer.
I mean, the NBA, the NFL All-Stars don't matter because it's the stupidest thing ever, but the NBA does it a lot bigger than that, and so I believe does the NHL. Like,
yeah, but I couldn't even find the NHL one back when I wanted to like watch them do their draft. Like, all of them make it exceptionally hard to locate.
I would have rather seen it tonight on Sunday when they do it. I guess maybe for scheduling purposes they needed to know. But it's just, you stuck it on July 4th at a time slot no one's going to be watching. So it's like, like it was it let the air out of the moment. Like it was, it could have been so much more exciting than it was. And it was exciting to find out that, Bazana was named an all-star and Parker Messick was, not a surprise, but I wasn't sure he was going to make it. Caden Smith was the only guy I felt really confident about.
I thought Parker was going to make it no matter what. Those are the only two guys I felt really confident about.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk more about that. I want to ask which one was your most surprising and which one are you most impressed by? We will get to that and then some more draft talk. We'll talk about college hitters on the last part of today's episode. The biggest stage in world soccer is happening right now, and every match feels like it has potential to be a memorable moment. One goal can change the energy of a single game, whether that's shifting the momentum or the outcome in a single instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting. Opening whistle to final kick, and now FanDuel is giving soccer fans like you a reason to stay invested and locked into every match. With every goal pays, so bet on a match with get bonus bets for every goal scored on that match. So more goals means more bonus bets. All you got to do is turn on that token. I've heard a lot of great stories about the tournament overall. I know there's some interesting things going on over there about favorites getting upset, Cape Verde. I see a lot of that. I'm not a big soccer follower, but I can tell you that Parker Messick is still at 20 plus 2,700 for the rookie of the year. So making the all-star team has not changed things in the betting odds for rookie of the year. So still maybe a nice time to jump in on that. But from the opening whistle to final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com right now to get started. And as somebody who has worked with a bunch of small companies of all sizes, really, running a business cannot feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that never designed to work together. You can't have one app for accounting, another for inventory, one for sales, and have none of them communicate with each other. That is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management platform, software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. Sales, accounting, inventory, marketing, everything is going to work for you in one place. It's going to help you move faster, stay organized, grow your business instead of managing individual pieces of software. Guardians, all other organizations of any size know that success isn't about talent. It's about having everybody work towards the same goal. Very true in sports, like it is in business. The Guardians are still trying to find the best way to move things forward with the lineup. They're getting on base. They're doing a good job getting base runners. They're just not doing a great job getting them in. So they need a little more communication to figure out what the job is going to be to get those runners to score. Great operations win. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockdown. That's odoo.com/lockdown. As always, we want to thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is that you get podcast. And thanks for making Locked On Sports Network the #1 sports podcast network as well. Hit the bell on YouTube so you get notified of all of our episodes and videos when they go live. We're going to have a lot of coverage this month again of the draft and the trade deadline, as well as regular episodes. And then you want to auto-download on all your favorite audio platforms so you can take us with you wherever you go. One thing I wanted to get into is that I think you joked, you texted me, but did you text me saying that maybe Austin Hedges should be an all-star?
Yeah, I was half joking. I was, I was just like, after he hit the home run.
Only half.
Yeah.
I know.
And I got to throw out some, fun numbers that, Bazana is their first round pick since Francisco Lindor to make an all-star team. Like that's the last first rounder who's made an all-star team. It's been quite a gap for them. And the thing too, it's like in that time period, their only first round picks were top 10 picks were Lindor, Clint Frazier, and Bazana. Like as much as like the Tigers were like the competition this year, that is a team that picked in the top 10 5-6 times in the last decade. Like I know people get mad about this team can't hit or this team can't do that. This team manages to compete every year without getting the advantage of getting those easier picks, of finding those guys who are sure major leaguers, and it was, the fact that they keep staying where they are is kind of an accomplishment for the team and just overall where their ability to find talent and find it in the margins. I think it's, like I said, it's really hard to find breakout talent after the first 10 picks. Really, the drop off is pretty big. I'd have to go look at the math I did for it, but yeah, it is kind of an accomplishment that they've only had 3 top 10 picks in the last 13 years, and 2 of them were all-stars. Mm-hmm. And one of them you traded for another all-star. So you got 3 all-stars out of your 3 top 10 picks.
Yeah, for 1 year anyway.
Yeah.
Now that I look at the numbers a little bit deeper on Parker Messick, I'm less surprised. Like I just thought maybe he'd get overlooked because of Cleveland and being a rookie and all that other stuff, and the fact that they, Cade Smith was a lock for the All-Star game, so I thought, they'll leave him off. I didn't even think Bazana had a chance, even though I knew second base was pretty bad.
It's so bad.
But now that I go back and look at Messick, like he's what, third? He's 4th overall in the American League in WAR by pitchers. He's top 6 in ERA. He's top 8 in FIP. He's 4th in innings pitched, right behind Gavin Williams, which is hilarious. So all the things that are there for Parker Messick, he was more than deserved. I just kind of figured they would overlook him for the market and the fact that he's a rookie, and because the Guardians were already being represented by Cade Smith. Anyway, do you think that there's any chance? It probably doesn't, because Kevin McGonigal also made it. But I was like, does this give him any Rookie of the Year juice at all that he made the All-Star team? No. He's McGonigal's blowing him out of the water. He's doing it at a harder position, and he's doing it defensively as well. Are you talking Bazana or are you talking Messick? Sorry, when you're Messick. Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it helps, because at the end of the day, it never goes to pitchers unless they're utterly obscenely dominant. It always goes to hitters. I don't think he's got a chance. I just thought I'd point out that, I was joking about Austin Hedges making the team. There are 8 American League, and this is if I drop it down, and this isn't even true because Richie Palacios doesn't really play second base, and Gleyber Torres has only appeared in 36 games. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 second basemen right now in the American League that are a 98 or better WRC plus, and there's 8 catchers. So that gives you an idea of just second base is right now the weakest position in the American League. It's really bad.
Ernie had the most votes of any American League player, which is hilarious because
Jesus Sanchez was high in the voting. Everyone from Toronto was high in the voting. It didn't matter who you were.
They made the series last year, and you got all of Canada. Right now, if you filter down to 240 at bats, because Bazana's at 249, he has the best WRC plus of any AL second baseman. He's only second in steals to Jazz Chisholm. He's tied for 3rd or 4th in making homers.
Second worst defense by the Fangraph metric. Yeah, I'm sorry, 3rd worst defense. I'm sorry, that's not true.
I think it is the ultimate honor, though, to be chosen by your team, your peers, because he was voted as a the fans are one thing. He would see what's going on in Toronto, right? Like Vlad Guerrero already opted out, saying he had a back injury, but Vlad's not having a great year, and Ernie's a great story. And
Ernie deserves to be there.
He deserves to be there. A starter, I don't know.
He's got a higher WRC plus than Bazana.
No, he doesn't. No. Clement's at 107. Bazana's at 113.
Well, that's okay. So I'm looking only at when they're playing second base. It's because Ernie plays so many.
Okay, well, I'm looking at it as their primary position. Okay. It's a 112 right now, and Clement's at 107. I think it's the ultimate sign of respect, though, is that Bazana's a rookie and he got voted in by his peers, like other players. That's how reserves get selected. Same with Messick too. And Cade Smith, all the guys that went for Cleveland were voted in by fellow players and coaches. Like that to me is the ultimate sign of respect about what you can do, especially when you're a rookie for the first 2. And then, Cade Smith being his first year as full closer.
Yeah. And it's, and Cade has had his shares of ups and downs, but it's been 90% ups. We just all get focused on the downs. That's the joy of being a reliever in baseball is that's always the focus. And, again, I think Bazana has earned it. I think if he was in the National League.
I'm sorry. No, it's that Mason Miller's NL. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If he was in the National League, Bazana probably doesn't make it. Let's be honest. That's just the way it breaks down between leagues. But, he's earned this opportunity. He's not here as an honorable mention or something like that. He's amongst the best at his position. He is definitely amongst the best in the American League. And, he's still figuring it out. He is a player who it is pretty unusual to have a guy get called up who didn't start the year in the big leagues. And
he missed the whole month, basically.
Yeah. and for him to be up there in a lot of counting stats, not just like, I mean, like he is like
stuff,
third, I think, in home runs among American League second basemen, and he missed a month. So he's doing a lot of things well. Messick absolutely should be there. He's him and Cade Smith were the ones I assumed. And after that, I thought you maybe had a chance with Bazana. I know a lot of people I saw were like, what about Rocchio? Well, I hate to break it to everyone. It's just the shortstop position is really deep, and Rocchio is probably not, even with the injuries, like, you know, Bobby Witt is absolutely phenomenal. And then you've
Montgomery, he deserves to be there.
Yeah, Colson Montgomery would get the shot over him. How many, like 20 plus home runs? I feel like he's hit one every time Cleveland's facing him. It's probably not the case. It just feels like that way with Colson Montgomery. He's at 17, but it's like, yeah, they're you know, it's tough in the American League, and there's McGonigal deserves to be there. He's having a fantastic year. It's a deep bench at shortstop. Second base is the weakest position in the league, and then I would say maybe center fielder after that, like if you're going pure talent. So I'll be curious to see. All three guys deserve to be there. It's great to see all three of them there. And yeah, it's, you know, don't you feel a little bit better about this team in general? I think the injuries have hurt, don't get me wrong, and there's been some ups and downs, but I feel better about this team now than I did at the start of the year, because I wasn't sure. I still had some questions about Bazana, and he's continued to you know, put some of those to bed. I had concerns with Chase. He's put some of those to bed. Like Rocchio has stepped up to be something more than I ever expected this year. We'll see what he can, you know, continue to do. Like
Hedges has a 114 WRC plus. We'll talk more about tomorrow. I did some digging into some metrics, so we'll talk more about that tomorrow, because I feel like we need to dig in and figure out why he is all of a sudden.
I look forward to hearing about it. But it's like, you know, they're you know, and the other thing I'd be very curious to look at, I don't want to say this to ding the Chicago guys, but I also kind of want to look at, like, I mean, I know like Teal homer today, that was the killer to me, because Kyle Teal's really struggled this year.
And he went the other way too.
And he went the other way. I'm like, that was the one. I was like, Tanner, come on, bud. That's the one we need back. But like Vargas and Montgomery, like they're gonna have, and then before Murakami got hurt, like they're on pace to have like 435 home run. I know back in the day, and I can't remember what it used to be called, but that park used to be quite the home run easy spot. So I'm also kind of curious to see if it's still maintaining that with some of those numbers.
White Sox do have big home road splits as far as being better at home than on the road. I know that.
I would believe it. But again, Montgomery should totally make that all-star team over Rocchio. Sorry, guys. Like Rocchio would maybe be next in line, but you know, I would say this: Rocchio is a near all-star, which is not what I had on my bingo card. No. So I think and you know, Quan has shown some minor signs of life. Let's also be honest with that. This series was not his worst in a while. So I am
he shot some balls the other way.
Yeah. I'm praying to, you know, whatever higher powers there might be, that he has a reverse of his typical year and just goes off on a heater in the second half, because boy, that would change this lineup.
Yeah. Let's wrap things up talking about some college hitters. We want to dig into more positional.
Are there any? Because it doesn't.
Are there any? Well, I don't know. Not where Cleveland's going to end. So we talk about pick 19. Like, I don't know about you. I would love it if they could get like guys like a Drew Burress or Tyler Bell, but let's be realistic. They're not going to be there at 19. They probably won't be there when you get past like 10 or 12. I know your guy is Logan Hughes or bust.
Logan Hughes, no matter what, is essentially where I am.
Yeah, like I did a bunch of write-ups on college hitters today, and I'm like, like Sawyer Stroh-Snyder, I wouldn't be like that's another buy. Everyone's mocking him there, and it's like that's just another to me buy the dip thing, like Jay Slavolette, like last year. It's the same thing. Like
I wouldn't be as
top 10 hype coming into the year, and he's going to fall.
I wouldn't be as upset with that just because the strikeout rate isn't as high. But I sat there for all of these guys, and I broke it down. In conference, in the Big 12, which is, you know, a mediocre conference, 228 batting average, 229 batting average, 341 on base, 457 slugs. Like, if this guy, elite talents need to be elite, you know, at this level, because most of the guys you're facing aren't going away anywhere. And if he's having problems with contact, like I said, I did not like the Jay Slavolette pick. I've been on record with that, because guys with that K rate just don't succeed. I wouldn't love Snow Strider there, but I gotta be honest, like unless it's Logan Hughes, more than likely I'm not gonna love anyone they take there. So it's like I can get it. Hopefully it's an under slot value would be my hope. I just the college group is just really, really underwhelming. It's, I mean, you and I were talking off air. AJ Gracia, like potential top 10 pick before the year began. You know, a lot of his data is kind of mid. He didn't have a great year. He dealt with some injuries, and his exit velo absolutely tanked. I just put him in the top 20 because I wrote him up really early in the process. And I was like, you know what, frankly, now that I've written, 70 capsules, no, he should be higher because that capsule actually sounds better than the others. Like there's a pathway for recovery here. There's a way to potentially maybe it was switching schools. He went with his coach though, so you wouldn't think the coaching would change, but it's like, he moved with his coach. And everyone at Virginia kind of slipped back this year. Joe Trilio was a really intriguing transfer who didn't hit. A lot of guys didn't hit for them. So I don't know what the easy answer is.
The Virginia aura. Virginia hitters are terrible.
Yeah,
I don't into that program. You just are no longer a good hitter. I don't know, even though they're good collegiately.
Yeah,
it's strange. Yeah, I just don't really love. I'm with you on Hughes. I think he's got good data. I'd be curious to see if you got his SEC splits.
I do. They're in the document.
What are they? What are they?
Let me go to the correct document. Logan. Yeah. Nope, actually, I do not. I'm sorry, I lied. He is not on
tomorrow. Okay, we'll do it tomorrow. Like you and I were in on Ace Reese, the third baseman from Texas A&M earlier. I think we've both kind of fallen out of love there at 19. Plus, he's probably moving to first base, and then
he hit well in the SEC, but apparently he missed a lot. Like he had a 26% K rate, and like his in zone whiff and his chase were really out of control in the SEC by reports.
Yeah, I just don't like the names I wrote up today. I'm just like, there's not a college hitter at 19 that I'd be really interested in. Like I know you like Logan Hughes, but what you just told me there, like.
I don't know. No, that I wasn't talking about Hughes. I like Hughes because Hughes does everything. Like he literally.
Oh, I thought that was I thought you were talking about his college or his SEC.
No, that was not. I don't have Hughes's Big 12.
Okay, we'll talk about
Texas Tech. Yeah. But no, I was saying
Reese is the one
who.
Oh yeah.
That was Ace Reese. I was saying Ace Reese is that guy.
So yeah, we'll see what Hughes's SEC data is. I'm sorry, Big 12. He's Big 12, not SEC.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, but. We've seen Derek Curiel and Stroh-Snyder and there's other guys like Caden Sorrell and
Curiel was great in the SEC. I'll say that.
Yeah,
he's not going to get there either. I would gladly take him. He's a top 10 player to me.
No,
you're not getting him.
The thing I worry about him though is like he's a safer pick. Am I wrong for feeling that way? Like I feel like he's a.
Yeah, he might be safer, but it doesn't matter if everyone else. Like, I'll take the safer $20 bill over a dodgy $1 bill. Like, it's everyone else is so dodgy that, like, yeah, maybe normally I wouldn't have Curry on the top 10, but it's like, okay, he makes contact, he plays defense, he has decent exit velos, he does not chase. Like, he's going to be a solid regular. Like, there is a very good chance that guy is a solid regular. Everyone else after the top 10 this year, I'm just like. I like a few traits. This is why they traded pick 30 so readily. It's just like this draft is just there is no depth to it. It's a bad draft class.
Yeah, the college hitters are just not exciting. I'm still a year further along in the process than I am trying to finish mine this week because the draft is Saturday. But like the high school hitters and the college pitching to me at 19 just stands out. Not a ton more because it's not great either, but it stands out to me more than the college hitters, the options at 19. Like I think I'd be pretty underwhelmed if they went a college hitter at 19, no matter.
Hughes is going to be my only top 10 guy who will be available at 19. I'll call that now. Hughes going to be my only one. So like I would love that because he's plus power. He just hits the ball.
I want to hear the numbers tomorrow from his Big 12 split too. Will you do that? You have time to do that tomorrow?
I can try.
Okay, we'll try to get those numbers together. The Big 12 splits. Not that the Big 12 is a good pitching conference, but certainly they would have played better teams in conference than they would have non-conference. So we'll see what returns there. But yeah, we'll talk more about college pitchers tomorrow, maybe, Jeff.
Sure, we can look at that. We could always talk prep, even though like I don't love prep pitching. I'll say prep pitching is a great depth of the class. And even if we can just talk pitching in general, because like, even if it's not first round, we know they're going to take a prep pitcher at some point in the draft, if not two. They like to grab a few.
We'll talk pitching tomorrow on the draft end of things. For sure, we'll get you prepared for the Minnesota series coming up this week. and the Guardians end their first half in Miami, which might be a bit of a test. They're a very spicy team, so it should be very, very interesting. If you do have draft questions you want us to cover this week, because I think, Jeff, we're going to try to spend a lot of time doing draft stuff, considering it's on Saturday. So if you have any draft questions you want to drop, we will definitely try to get to them, or just try to incorporate them in our coverage this week.
Yep. I just want to take a second and call out everydayer Dave Yoder, who has yet to comment once on the Grandpa's cheese-born frisbee. It's been up a month now, Dave. I'm a little disappointed. Come on, Dave. Where are you? I've been waiting on it. And I'm going to have to remove the frisbee suit. I got something new I'm going to have up there. So I had to point it out now. I've got some everydayers to shout out tomorrow, so I apologize to people who have said kind words, and I said I'm going to say it. I will get to it. I just am very forgetful. It's a busy time. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to rate and review, download daily. Set for those auto downloads, so even if you can't listen, the download helps us out.
Leave a review,
and go Guardians, go.